By what name are you known?
There are some who call me... Tim?
Welcome to another episode of Timmy Talks, the channel where we talk old school magic. And today we are back in Vienna for Viennageddon. We have reached round number 4. And in round number 4 we've got a blue and white robots deck taking on a blue and white control deck. So this match is going to be very blue and white heavy. Expect to see lots of counter spells, swords to plowshares, disenchants, and of course lots of control shenanigans happening. So this is going to be, I think this is going to be a close one. Now, before I start with the decks, I've got lovely deck photos of both of these decks. First, a message from the sponsor of this video, 3-for-1 Trading. 3-for-1 Trading is one of Europe's leading Magic the Gathering retailers. Their online shop has a fantastic selection of high-end Magic cards, especially for vintage, legacy, and yes, old school Magic players. They now exclusively offer my community free, fully insured, and fast worldwide shipping on all their high-end singles, full sets, and out-of-print sealed products. They upload new cards every Wednesday and have weekly sale offers and reductions waiting just for you. Use my code TIMMY to get free worldwide shipping on your first order over $500 or euros. Have fun ordering those cards, and thank you 3-for-1 Trading for sponsoring this video. And we are back and ready to dive into the deck, and I'm going to start with the player on the left, that is Phillip. Let's take a look at his blue-white robots deck. And here we see the blue-white deck of Phillip, and this robots deck is, I think, one of the most popular decks at the moment in old school. It's not just blue-white, by the way. We also see Demonic Tutor and Mind Twist, what a surprise, the common Black Splash, and then we see a single Fireball in here. And I get it. I think Fireball is a nice addition. It can just finish a game out of nowhere, and it also allows you, when you add that red, to add some red in your sideboard as well. So we see 2 Lightning Bolts, and I think more importantly 2 red Elemental Blasts there in the side. So why are these decks so popular? Well, if you have blue and white, you've got access to blue power, you've got access to what I call the white power 9, which is the disenchants, the swords to plowshares, and the balance. That's all in here. And then, instead of 4 disenchants, he's playing 3 disenchants and a divine offering. What a surprise. And then I guess what's a little bit more interesting is the creature base. So he's chosen to be quite modest there. 4 Suchis, only 1 Triskelion, going with 2 Serra Angels instead. And because you're playing with less Triskelions, you play with less copy artifacts as well. I guess that makes sense. So only 2 copy artifacts here in the main, and then he's got an extra one in the side. And then, of course, instead of playing with Jam Day Tomes for card draw, these type of decks tend to want to play with Sage of Lat-Nam. He's playing with 2 Sages of Lat-Nam. That's a little bit different than most lists. Most lists are called actually triple Sage decks. They play with 3 Sages of Lat-Nam instead of 2. Here we only see 2, so a little bit more, modest in that department. But yeah, overall, this is a strong deck, and I think this deck is undefeated still. And it's now taking on Johnny's deck, and Johnny's also playing blue-white, but he's not playing robots. Let's take a look at his list. And here we see the blue-white control deck of Johnny, and I think, this deck, it's almost like the deck. The reason I haven't called it the deck is because he is playing with 6 creatures main, which is pretty heavy. So I went more onto the, the blue-white control story. Of course, also we see here that Black Splash for Demonic Tutor and Mind Twist. We don't see a red splash here. This is just super controlling, right? All the cards that you would expect in a deck like this are here. 4 swords, 4 disenchants, 4 counter spells, the mana drain, the balance. It's all there, the blue power. Then, of course, you've got your 2 Jam Day Tomes for card draw. So in this deck, we don't see the Sage of Lat-Nam, but the Jam Day Tome instead. And then when we're looking at the creature base, we see 4 Serra Angels. Nothing really surprising there. But then there is the surprise of this deck, and that is the 2 Clay Statues. I really like this. I think it's cool. Clay Statue, a card for 4 from Antiquities, 3/1 creature, a golem actually. And you can regenerate it for 2. And it's quite nice if you're playing against an opponent that doesn't play with white. Unfortunately for Johnny, Phillip does have access to white. And the reason I'm saying that is, if you play against a player who doesn't have white, they don't have access to swords to plowshares. And if you cannot swords the Clay Statue, it's going to be really difficult to get rid of the Clay Statue because of course of that regeneration clause. Yes, you could play a card like Fisher, but who plays Fisher? And also you cannot play Terror on it because it's an artifact, and an artifact cannot be targeted by Terror. So Clay Statue is quite an interesting card from that perspective. Another card I want to highlight here is Spirit Link. I think Spirit Link is quite nice. The problem with these decks is they're a little bit slow, right? These control decks, so sometimes you get overwhelmed when you're playing against a very aggressive player, and then just having a little bit of life gain in your deck can get you a long way. So I think that inclusion of Spirit Link here can really work in those matchups. Also in the sideboard, we see 3 Fountain of Youths, which I think is really cool. And I guess Fountain of Youth, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Johnny, but I think Fountain of Youth is really in there to help you against decks that play with Black Vice, because you can then empty your hand quickly because it's only 0 to cast, and you can gain life. And usually decks that play with Vice also play with Chain Lightning and Lightning Bolt. And then when you have that kind of small life gain engine, that can really be annoying for the opponent. But, you know, I don't think that in this matchup, the Fountain of Youths are really going to play a role. But anyway, I just wanted to mention it because I think it's pretty cool sideboard tech. So, yeah, this is the deck of Johnny. We looked at the deck of Phillip, so I guess we're ready. Let's go to round number 4 of Viennageddon. Game number 1 here of round number 4 of Viennageddon. Here we go. We've got Phillip sitting on the left. He's on blue-white robots, taking on Johnny, who's on blue-white control. And both players playing with their usual black splash. And I believe that Phillip also has a little bit of red in there, a fireball. But mainly blue and white in both of these decks. And Phillip here on the play, having a pretty explosive opening. Double Mox, a duel, and a Sage of Lat-Nam. So nice start for him. Let's see what Johnny can do. Starting with a Mox Pearl. And a Tundra. Gonna tap both. There's a Felwar Stone, passing their turn. So both players kind of ramping up. Phillip, of course, having access here to a creature with that Sage of Lat-Nam, so could attack for 1 or decide to keep it untapped, so you could use its ability. Also has a Divine Offering in hand there, a Counterspell, and a Serra Angel. Played out the Mishra's Factory. And already Phillip a little bit in the tank here, perhaps thinking, do I want to attack with the Sage or not? Do I want to play maybe my Divine Offering on the Felwar Stone? And what's unfortunate here for Phillip is that he doesn't have access to double blue, so that counterspell cannot be cast yet, passing the turn here to Johnny. Johnny playing a basic island, having a Mind Twist there in hand, but no access to black. Gonna play the Time Walk. I believe he just picked up the Time Walk from the top. Just gonna, you know, cycle it away. And he's got 4 cards in hand at the moment, also a counterspell here for him. So Serra Angel, Counterspell, Mind Twist, and a Mana Drain. Very good hand for him. And I mean, Johnny has double blue, so that's nice for him. The problem for Johnny, though, is that Phillip has some offensive power on the board, so could just attack for 3 here if he wanted to. Gonna attack for 1, though. Gonna put Johnny on 19, passes the turn. So Phillip doesn't want to take the risk to lose the factory. That's why, probably why he didn't animated it. And here we see a Felwar Stone. So this Felwar Stone is quite good because it gives Phillip access to double blue, meaning he can start playing out those counterspells. Oh, library from the top. 5 cards in hand, I believe. Yeah, 5 cards in hand for Johnny. And that, of course, becomes relevant now because of that Library of Alexandria. That library could change the entire game. Plateau found from the top. I wonder if, I mean, one of the things Phillip could do here is play Plateau, try to cast Serra, knowing that maybe it's going to be countered, but if not, he's in a good position. Of course, we know that Phillip has, I believe, that Mana Drain in hand, right? So you shouldn't do it, but I can understand that it must be very tempting for Phillip here. Because what if it sticks? You know, then Johnny is in trouble. Another thing you could think of is if it doesn't stick, he's going to lose a counterspell, and he's going to lose a card in hand, so he's then 1 more turn away from the Loa activation. Decides not to. Passes the turn. Johnny finding a card from the top, also passing the turn. I believe 6 cards in hand now for Johnny, very close to that activation. Oh, white found. Now he can cast the Serra with counterspell backup. Are we going to see the Angel? Yes, we're going to see the Angel. Are we going to see a counterspell? And no counter magic here by Johnny. So does he have something else? Perhaps a Swords to Plowshares. I mean, I thought I saw a Mana Drain in his hand earlier, but maybe it's not a Mana Drain. There's the pass turn. How many cards does he have in hand now? Does he now have 7? It's really hard to tell from this position. I guess if he has 7, he would have tapped the library already. Or maybe... Nah, let's just see. Let's just wait and see. It's hard to see. He's going to tap 3, including the Library of Alexandria. Going to go for Psionic Blast. So Psionic Blast on the Serra Angel. Phillip is going to counter that away, though. Is he going to counter this counterspell? No, he's not. And of course, this is a moment as well for Johnny where you have to think, do I want to invest yet another card and get further and further away from my library activation? And here we see Phillip sacking the Mox Ruby for an extra card. And this is really a nice demonstration of Sage, you know, and how good the card is. Because Phillip's like, I kind of feel that I have enough, you know, mana to my disposal, so I can just start sacking those Moxen, especially the off-color Moxen, like the Mox Ruby, in this case the Mox Emerald. You know, the Mox Jet can still have a value for your Demonic and Mind Twist, of course. Passing the turn here back to Johnny, by the way, after the attack. Johnny now on 13, finding a basic island. And yeah, it looks like he's just unable to activate his Loa, right? How many cards are there in hand? Is that 6? I mean, if it was 6, you would have, of course, drawn the island, tapped for another card, right? And then the basic. I'm a little bit confused about the amount of cards in hand for Johnny. Anyway, passing the turn to Phillip. Phillip again sacking a Mox here to draw more cards. There's a volcanic island. And yeah, I mean, Phillip's in a good position here. Exactly. He can swing in for 6. This is devastating for Johnny. He's going to drop to 7. I mean, is John just simply going to lose this here? He has to start doing something. Or else he will die here to this Sarah Angel and Mishra's Factory. There's a pass by Phillip. Okay, there's a Black Lotus. Or not. Okay, now we can use the Loa. Okay, so I guess he was... But then he could have used it last turn, I think. Maybe he forgot. Anyway, using the Loa now, finding a balance there from the top. That's a pretty big deal. Also has Mind Twist in hand. So this is going to be an important moment for Johnny. He has to do something about the Sarah Angel on the board, right? That's his priority. He's on 7. Okay, he's going to play a Mind Twist, it seems. So is he going to play, then sack the Lotus for 3 black and play a Mind Twist for 2? Or not? Okay, so I guess he's going to... I'm not quite sure what he wants to do with the mana from the Lotus. Is he playing it for 2, the Mind Twist, or is he playing it for 4? I guess you want to play it for 4, right? Because he's got 4 cards in hand. So assume he does it for 4. There's the counter spell by Phillip. And I guess Johnny doesn't want to do anything against this because he's going to play a balance after this. And I do understand this line of play, right? You first want to play your Mind Twist, forcing Phillip to use his counter magic if he has it, and then play out your balance. Exactly. Here's the balance, and you have to play out that balance because you need to get rid of that Sarah. You're on 7. So I understand this line of play by Johnny. But the silver lining for Phillip here is also firing off his Divine Offering. The silver lining here for Phillip is that Johnny has to discard down to just 2 cards in hand. So he's going to lose 3 cards in his hand. It looks like he wants to keep the 2 Sarah Angels. Changing his mind. I mean, Johnny actually has a really good hand. The problem is he can only keep 2 cards of that hand. I mean, Jam de Tome is also a very good card, and I think one of those cards is still that Mana Drain. Exactly, going to keep the Mana Drain, I believe, and the Sarah Angel. Look at those cards he's losing. Jam de Tome must also be really hard to discard at this point. There's a Swords found from the top for Phillip. He's going to swing in for 2. Look at that. Johnny dropping to 5. Oh, another Sage. Phillip very close to the victory here. Phillip himself still being on 20. It's looking quite good for him. But Disenchant found from the top, I believe, there for Johnny, which is quite good. Passing the turn, so decides not to play out the Sarah. Instead wants to keep the Disenchant mana open, I guess. We're probably going to see an animate of the factory. It's going to tap 4 first, though. Okay, there's a Mind Twist, but a Mana Drain here on the Mind Twist. So that means some mana here for Johnny next turn. Gonna animate and gonna attack. Ooh, drop to 3, I'm surprised. Has that Disenchant, right? So gonna Disenchant the Mishra's Factory. And let's see what's gonna happen next. Untap, upkeep, and draw. So 2 cards now left in hand here for Johnny. And I'm expecting to see the Sarah. Exactly. Sarah Angel hitting the board. And having 1 card left passes the turn. There's a quick Swords to Plowshares though. So it does mean 4 life for Johnny. Going to go back up to 9. Let's see what Phillip can do. Finding a City of Brass there from the top. You can of course just start attacking with the Sage, right? Okay, gonna eat up the Felwer, having a mana floating, finding a Library of Alexandria, playing out the library. 2 cards in hand, I believe, for Phillip. One of those cards is the Volcanic Island. Johnny already passed a turn, 2 cards in hand for him. Has a Demonic Tutor in hand there. That's quite interesting. There's a Mishra's Factory, passing the turn back here to Johnny. So is Johnny gonna fire off the Demonic? That's the question. Oh, of course, doesn't have black, of course, so he can't. Phillip here sacking some more artifacts here. Has none left now. But I mean, the Sage is really doing work for Phillip. Phillip having 4 cards in hand. It's going to animate the factory. There's a quick disenchant. And again, Johnny's going to eat it up for another card. 5 cards in hand. And I mean, I guess if you're Phillip, you just want to keep your cards in hand, right? Trying to get that Loa active. Exactly. Passes the turn here to Johnny. Johnny finding a Mox. Not very helpful for him. Needs a Mox Jet to cast that Demonic Tutor. There we see a factory. A little bit surprised that he's going to play out that Mishra's Factory. Thought he would keep it in hand. Also has an Armageddon there. Ooh, Demonic. 2, 4, 6 in hand. Could go for Demonic. Try to find Ancestral Recall. It's going to animate though. Going to attack. There's the Disenchant. Going to eat it up for another card. Finding a Suchi. I mean, this Sage is doing so much work here. Oh, he's got 7. Wow. Kind of missed that. So drawing an extra card with the Loa. Now Johnny is in trouble again. He is finding a Felwer Stone, so can now play out that Demonic Tutor. It's going to go for Demonic Tutor. I mean, I guess you don't want to counter this yet. Phillip does have a mana drain in hand, but can of course just decide to counter whatever Johnny is going to play. And I wonder what he's going to look up. I mean, Ancestral makes sense. Ooh, or could go for that Strip Mine because you cannot counter a Strip Mine. Oh, that would actually be a very good decision. Is he going to go here for Strip Mine? He is. Oh, and he's punishing Phillip here for not countering the Demonic. And I have to be honest, I also didn't think about it. I thought, you know what? He's got Loa already on the battlefield. Didn't think about the Strip Mine option. Going to go for Strip Mine. This is a great way to play around counter magic. Well done here by Johnny. Stripping away the Loa. Still looking good though for Phillip. He's got so much value from the single Sage. Another land. Probably going to drop the Mox here and then also the Suchi, I assume. Going to tap 4. Play out the Suchi. Passing the turn. Or not. I mean, I guess exactly right. You want to have 2 blue for the mana drain. Passing the turn here back to Johnny. Johnny finding a city in a bottle. That's not going to do much. Does have a Mishra's Factory now as a potential blocker. But I mean, that's not going to really do much against the Suchi. Tech here. Going to put Johnny on 5. Yeah, Phillip is really in the driver's seat here. Also with that mana drain in hand. Asking about the graveyard here of Johnny. He's going to tap 2. Are we going to see another Sage? I mean, balance is already played out, right? Exactly. You can commit a little bit more to the board knowing that that balance is already out of hand. Oh, and there Johnny accidentally showing his hand and saying, you know, there's nothing I can do here. You've got this first game, but this was an exciting game. Like, there were moments where I thought, ooh, maybe Johnny is coming back, but yeah, Phillip was simply too strong in this first game, and I think the Sage really gave Phillip the victory here. Now both players are going to dive into their sideboards, and we will catch back up with them in game number 2. Game number 2 here of round number 4 is about to start. Johnny on the play after losing the first game against Phillip. Phillip's on blue-white robots, and Johnny is on blue-white control. And oh, talking about control, there we see a Library of Alexandria turn 1. So this is going to be one of those Loa games. Johnny drawing card 7. I'm going to draw card 8 with the Loa. Play a land for turn. That's a Tundra. Probably just going to pass. Exactly, passing the turn. And of course for Phillip now you have to try to get rid of that Loa as fast as you can. And if you can, then you have to try to put as much pressure on the life total of Johnny as you possibly can. Here we see a Mox Pearl and then drawing another card for turn again with that Library. Yeah, Library is going to be very dominant here. Already has given Johnny 2 extra cards. Could go for Time Walk here. Gonna tap 2. There's Time Walk. Unfortunately, Phillip doesn't have double blue to counter this Time Walk away. I'm not sure if he even would want to. But anyway, Johnny here taking an extra turn. So now he's got a turn more than his opponent and a lot more cards. Finding another duel. Are we going to see that Felwer as well? Felwer Stone also hitting the board. And then there's a pass to Phillip. There we see a Plains. And I mean, Phillip does have the Armageddon. Just needs one more mana source. One more mana and he can start playing out that Armageddon. But of course the risk is that, you know, Johnny with all those cards in hand probably has a counterspell. We know that he doesn't actually when you look at his hand. But yeah, Phillip of course doesn't know that. Going to go for end step here. A Divine Offering on the Felwer Stone. So he's going to go up to 22. Ooh, he's finding a land. He can fire off Armageddon here. Is he going to? That's the question. Nope, he's not. Going to fire off the Suchi instead. There's a Divine Offering, though. Probably thinking, you know what? I mean, Johnny probably has a counterspell anyway. We know he doesn't, but I mean, I cannot blame Phillip for thinking he does. I mean, he's got a full grip of cards. So probably wants to feed some more cards into a potential counterspell, which we know isn't there. Going to tap 4 more. There's another Suchi. It's going to draw an extra card with the Loa, and I'm probably going to play a Disenchant. Has multiple Disenchants in hand. Could also go for Swords. Yeah, gonna go for Disenchant. Makes more sense. Untap, upkeep, and draw here for Johnny. So Johnny, of course, drawing way more cards. But the interesting thing here is that Phillip already had 2 turns. You know, the possibility to actually cast that Armageddon. I think he's waiting to have counter backup to maybe cast the Armageddon. And loads of cards here in hand, of course, for Phillip. And Phillip's like, yeah, should I tap out here to play the Sarah? No, I shouldn't. Passes the turn, rather discards the City in a Bottle here. There's a pass by Phillip doing nothing. There we see a Black Lotus. And I mean, you know, Johnny could go now for Sarah Angel because he can keep the Lotus open. He's gonna discard instead, though. Playing very controlling, very disciplined. Phillip, but just playing a land, passing the turn as well. He's not playing out that Armageddon. Not interested in doing that at all. And here we see an end step. Loa activation or not. No, he's gonna pass turn to Phillip, do it in his upkeep. Yeah, both players are like kind of playing a stare down competition, it seems. And now finally Johnny has found a counterspell. That's going to make it harder for Phillip. So Phillip having 6 cards in hand himself. Doesn't, yeah, he does have the black man, of course, a City of Brass. So could try to get the Demonic Tutor. Could try to play it out with counter backup. And Johnny's finally going to cast his Sarah Angel here. Gonna tap 5. There's the Sarah Angel 4/4 flyer. Doesn't have to tap when she attacks. We're gonna see a counterspell here, I guess, by Phillip. Exactly, that's the counterspell. Are we gonna see a counter on the counterspell? No, we're not, because Johnny knows that he's got more Sarah Angels anyway, so decides not to. There's a Disenchant, and I'm loving this Disenchant here. You're putting Johnny in a difficult position. So he's gonna lose the Black Lotus here. But the good news for Johnny is that he's got 2 blue open anyway with those 2 dual lands. There we see a Demonic. I mean, you could use Loa and then counter away, after that counter away the Demonic Tutor. Or did he have 8 in hand? So there's a counterspell after that, followed by an Armageddon. Oh, ho, ho. Armageddon. Oh, he's going to lose the lands? And I'm again a little confused about the low here, because it was untapped, right? So should he have played it out before he countered, or a little bit confused there. Anyway, there's a Maze. Phillip also just passing the turn, and both players kind of rebuilding here, trying to find lands. Okay, there's a Mox. There's a pass. So Johnny still in a pretty good position, having 3 lands. Now he's got to discard a card, though. What to discard? He's got to discard a Disenchant, passes the turn. There's a Tundra found by Phillip, who passes the turn back to Johnny. Johnny discarding the swords, has multiple swords in hand, I believe. There's a City of Brass, so this is looking good for Phillip now, finding some lands. He's going to drop the Chaos Orb. Or not. I mean, he's worried. He's going to go for Sage instead. Quick swords on the Sage of Lat-Nam, so one more life here for Phillip. I believe Phillip's on 23. Unfortunately, not using the dice to keep track of his life. There's a Mox Pearl. There we see a Chaos Orb. There's a pass. There's a Mishra's Factory. Interesting. We do see, I believe, a Disenchant in hand for Johnny. So if Phillip's going to try to flip on, for example, the Factory in response, Johnny can play Disenchant. Black Lotus there in hand for Phillip. By the way, Phillip passing the turn back to Johnny. There we see a Strip Mine on the City of Brass. You can see Johnny a little bit in the tank. Do I want to attack here? I guess you don't, because if you attack, you no longer have the option to disenchant in response to a Chaos Orb activation. Gem Day Tome found for Phillip, also just passing the turn. Ooh, Basic Island. That's a good find, because now he can attack and have disenchant mana open. Decides not to though, passes the turn. Mox Ruby found, also has that Black Lotus in hand. So could consider to go for that Suchi play if he wants to sack the Lotus for it. Decides not to. Ooh, look at this on end step, Ancestral Recall. Oh, this is huge. Plus the card drawn for turn. So 4 cards now, a full hand all of a sudden for Johnny. This is big. Guess he did it in his upkeep, right? Because that island's staying tapped. There we see a Chaos Orb. So 2 Chaos Orbs here on the battlefield. One on the side of Johnny, one on the side of Phillip. He's going to discard his Brain Geyser. Wow. Phillip here finding a mana drain. So I would be tempted here to play out the Black Lotus. So you've got your mana drain online. But he doesn't, just passes the turn. There's a Felwar Stone. Gonna play it out. Yeah, this is really a game of chess between these two players. They really want to keep their resources in their hand and really want to wait for the perfect time to start playing them out. And again, you see Johnny kind of thinking, what do I want to do here with this Chaos Orb? Knowing that he's got that disenchant to potentially respond to an activation of Phillip. I mean, it must be tempting here for Phillip or for Johnny to go for activate Orb Flip on your duel. But decides not to, passes the turn. Phillip finding a Soul Ring. Are we going to see a counterspell here? Counterspell on the Soul Ring. Interesting decision. Also means that he doesn't have enough mana to respond with the disenchant on a Chaos Orb activation. So if you're Phillip, you could consider using your Chaos Orb now. There's a window. Decides not to though. Passes the turn. There's an Underground Sea. Gonna tap 2 cards here. What are we gonna see for 2? Okay, there's a Demonic Tutor. Yeah, and Phillip cannot counter, you know. There's nothing he can do. Doesn't have that Black Lotus on board, or else he could consider playing out the mana drain. Ooh, was that a Mind Twist that Johnny picked up there? Oh, that is rough. Oh, that Mind Twist can be a major thing in this matchup. Next turn, he could play out the Mind Twist. No, he can't. Oh, he can. Yeah, he does have black. Got the Underground Sea, of course. Tapping 3, okay. It's going to play out that Recall. It's going to go for Recall. What is he going to ditch with the Recall? Going to go through the graveyard. Yeah, has of course Ancestral Recall in there to go for. Could also go for Strip Mine. Attack the mana base. A lot of good stuff there. He's going to go for Time Walk. So he wants to Time Walk. So he can immediately play out that that Mind Twist, of course. So I think that's a good decision. Going to take his extra turn now, and now he's going to Mind Twist. It's looking really good here for Johnny, I have to say. If he can resolve this Mind Twist, which he can, right? Asking how many cards he's got in hand, so I guess you just want to tap everything. Exactly. Play a Mind Twist there. Wow, he's going to lose his entire hand. Phillip's hand is gone. And now he's finding a counter spell. And now he's going to flip here on the Chaos Orb. It is a hit. So the Chaos Orb needs to leave, or didn't it flip completely? Perhaps it didn't flip. It looked like a solid hit, but maybe I missed it. I guess it didn't flip completely, and now Johnny is going to use his. He's going to flip. And that is a neat flip. So yeah, so I guess Phillip's flip wasn't... it didn't rotate fully. It went quite fast. I missed that one. Anyway, there's the disenchant. Yeah, Johnny's really in the driver's seat now. He's going to play out a Gem de Tome. Passes the turn. And that's it. Phillip is saying, okay, you've got game number 2. And that makes sense. And I know I've said it before, but just a reminder, when you're playing tournament Magic, you only have 50 minutes, 50 minutes to finish your game. So if you're in game 2 and you're like, okay, I'm not going to win this one, and you're playing against a slower deck, it's probably best to pack up, just like what Phillip is doing here, and start game 3 so that you know that you've got enough time for that. And because you're losing game 2, you can also start at game 3, making you a slight favorite. So anyway, let's continue onwards to game number 3. Game number 3 here is about to start, and who's going to win this in round 4? Who's going to win the round 4 match? Will it be Phillip, who's on the left, he's on the play, or will it be Johnny, who's on the draw here? Game 3, we're about to find out. Ancestral Recall here, great opening for Phillip, playing that in the upkeep of Johnny. I guess Johnny playing a basic island passes the turn. Let's see what Phillip can do in his second turn. Volcanic Island. Oh, card gone. Getting it back in his hand. That was a Plateau, playing out a Sage of Lat-Nam here, the card that was so good for him in that first game. And there we see a Time Walk. Going to take an extra turn. There's a Plains. Tapping the Plains. Swords to Plowshares. Taking care of the Sage of Lat-Nam. So Phillip going to go up to 21. Finding a Suchi from the top. There's a Mishra's Factory and a pass. There's a Tundra. And there's that Soul Ring. Are we going to see a follow-up? Nope, just a pass. Phillip could now start playing out the Suchi if he wants to. Decides not to. Another basic island here for Johnny. There's the pass. Felwar found. Strip Mine played. Probably going to go here for Felwar. Yeah, both players playing very controlling. They both want to keep their options open. They're not very hesitant to play out their creatures quickly. Don't want to run into counter magic. Or Swords to Plowshares or Disenchants, I guess. There's a Volcanic Island. Gonna tap 4. There's a Suchi hitting the board. Mana drain in hand for Phillip, so he has counter backup. Are we going to see Disenchant and end step? There's Disenchant. So quick answer here for Johnny. Both players, of course, playing with a lot of answers, having access to white and blue. Meaning that you have counter magic, Disenchants, and Swords to Plowshares. Sarah Angel found for Phillip. He's going to tap 4 again. There's another Suchi. There's again a Sword. Yeah, lots of answers. Phillip going to go up to 25. We'll try to track his life total for you. Unfortunately, he doesn't use the dice. Okay, there's a mana drain. That is huge. Probably going to see a Brain Geyser. Probably going to see a mana drain on a Brain Geyser. Counterspell, you're protecting the Brain Geyser. So that means 4 extra cards for Johnny. I mean, this is a pretty big deal. So he's going to draw a lot of cards here. Exactly, and Phillip saying, why are you untapping? You did that in your turn. And you're correct, Phillip. That's true. So now Phillip can kind of play out, doesn't have to worry about counter magic. Could consider playing out the Sarah Angel. Also has, of course, Gem de Tome in hand. Gonna tap 3, 6 it seems, or not. 7. What is he gonna do for 7? Oh, he's got an Armageddon. He's gonna Armageddon. Wow, that is a good move. I love this. Dan's gonna play out the Gem de Tome. What a well-timed Armageddon. Didn't spot that in the hand of Phillip, but well done, Phillip, here. This Armageddon is brilliant. But Johnny does have a lot of lands in hand, though, so can quickly rebuild. And, of course, still has that Soul Ring. Going to play out a City of Brass. Can he do something with it? That's the question. So Johnny a little bit in the tank here. Wonder what his options are. It's kind of hard to see his hand. He's going to tap the City of Brass, so he will drop to 19. Okay, there's a Demonic Tutor. Okay. What is he going to go for? And this is a question again. How many cards does he have in hand? Yeah, could go for Mind Twist. That could be pretty good. Could also go for Ancestral Recall, of course. Another option could be Library of Alexandria, depending how many cards he's got in hand. He's going to go for Loa, yeah. Checking his count. I mean, how many cards? He doesn't have that many cards, right? I'm not sure if I would go for Loa here. It's difficult. So many good options for Phillip. Sorry, for Johnny. I mean, you could also go for Strip Mine, right? And then you can just strip the only land that Phillip has. That could be an option as well. Yeah, I believe it's Strip Mine. Gonna pass turn. Already had a land drop then, I guess. Ooh, but Counterspell in hand, but you cannot counter Strip Mine, of course. Strip Mine stripping away. Ho ho! There's a disenchant in return, in response. I mean, he can disenchant the Felwar. Are we going to see that now? Probably. I would take the Felwar Stone down for sure. Yeah, going to take down the Felwar Stone. Exactly. Oh, man. This has become a match about resources. There we see another land. Going to play out the Chaos Orb. Oh, it's not looking good for Phillip. There's another land. And the thing is here, Phillip knows as soon as he finds a land, Johnny's probably gonna flip on it with the Chaos Orb. Ooh, there's a pass. I mean, if I was Johnny, I would definitely start attacking with the factory. And look at this, just passing, not attacking with the factory at all. I'm really confused. Why not attack with your Mishra's Factory? Gonna tap 3, gonna take a damage. Gonna play a Recall here. What is he gonna get back? A land, I assume. Could actually get back a Strip Mine as well. That would be... I think I would get back a Strip Mine, but I'm evil, I guess. Could also just go for another duel, but yeah... Strip Mine seems to make sense. And again, I'm a little bit confused. I think Johnny's just forgetting to attack with the factory. Could have attacked the previous turn to deal some extra damage. There's a Loa, Library of Alexandria. I would definitely strip it. Exactly. Oh, he's going to flip on it instead. Yeah, that's probably better. First flip. Yeah, it's a hit. Yeah, didn't use the... Strip Mine. Yeah, use it for mana. So yeah, now Johnny taking the turn. Looked like the players were kind of discussing a few technicalities. Ooh, we could play out the Sarah Angel. Sarah on the board. Gonna take another damage. He's on 15. Ooh, White Source found, but doesn't have a Swords to Plowshares. I mean, I would strip this plains as soon as I can, right? Strip the plains. That's it. Phillip, you're shaking the hand of Johnny. Ho ho! Johnny winning that third game. And like I said, it was really a game all about the resources. Who had the most mana? And what a tactical battle here between these two players. Well played here by Johnny. Congratulations for winning round number 4 here at Viennageddon. And please join me again for round number 5. And then we're going to see these two decks in action. And yeah, if you want to make sure you don't miss that battle, hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. Because then you will be notified whenever I put new content on the channel. I upload at least 2 videos a week, 2 match videos. So if you want to make sure that you don't miss it, hit that subscribe button. And if you have a moment, please consider sharing, commenting and liking this video. All these things are free and really help the channel move forward. Talking about moving forward, I also have my very own Patreon page. So if you want to support me, if you want to help me continue making Magic content, showing the beauty of old school Magic all over the world, please consider becoming a patron. Check out patreon.com/TimmyTalks for all the information.
What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? What shall we do with the drunken sailor? Early in the morning, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises. Early in the morning, put him in the longboat until he's sober, put him in the longboat until he's sober, put him in the longboat until he's sober. Early in the morning, way hey and up she rises, way hey and up she rises.
Igitus, figitus, sumba, kazee.